Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. All right, everybody. I'm back. Gonna be back. So Friday afternoon, I do want to talk a little bit of very interesting recruiting news. Now, first of all, I know what a lot of you are thinking. Torres, you're in a suit. Everything okay? You had a funeral. What's going on? Listen, I actually on Friday morning spoke at an NIL event out here in Las Vegas. Really cool event. A lot of ADs, a lot of coaches. By the way, there's Border League this weekend, which is basically like an AAU event, but for high school teams. I bring it up because I might go check that out later. Tyron Stokes is supposed to be there. Talon Kinney, I may have actually just seen walking the hallways. It kind of looked like him. I can't tell. But one player that was not in Vegas for Border League this weekend was Abdou Toure, who is from my home state, the beautiful state of Connecticut. For people who don't know his background, 4-star player. By the way, I'm also, on top of speaking on a panel, I'm also recording in some back office room here. That's why we have the background the way that it is. Anyway, Abdou Toure from the great state of Connecticut. Bring it up because this is a 4-star prospect. You know, he's about a top 35 or so prospect. I think he's better. We can get into that in a minute. But I just bring it up because on Friday, it was his official announcement date on where he was going to go to college. About a few weeks ago, put out a final 3 of UConn, Providence, and Arkansas. I can tell you that with no disrespect to Abdou Toure, I don't know how active UConn was in that recruitment, but Providence and Arkansas very much were. And in a back-and-forth race just minutes ago, as I record here, now you're going to watch it a little bit later, but just minutes ago, Abdou Toure, 4-star forward from the beautiful state of Connecticut, committed to, drum roll please, the University of Arkansas. Coach Cal, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but this thing was trending towards Providence earlier in the week. Coach Cal gets the job done, and with it, you already know, it's been a while since I've been able to ask one very simple question of you people. One very simple question, and that is this. Can anyone stop the Big Pig invasion? Can anyone stop the Big Pig invasion? I think the answer is no. By the way, it does hit a little different dropping a Big Pig invasion, a BPI in a full suit. But Big Pig invasion, by the way, you can get those tees, AaronTorresOnline.com/merchandise. Let's go ahead and get into this. I think it's a fascinating recruitment, a fascinating commitment, a fascinating player. And I think it previews what could come for John Calipari this recruiting cycle. As far as Abdou Toure is concerned, like I said, he is from the state of Connecticut. One, I just love his story, is he's had the opportunity, like so many of these players, to kind of go to some of these other prep schools, whatever. I'm not here to judge players that decide to go the prep school route, the IMGs, the Montverds, the Link Academies, whatever. But he said, no. I want to stay with my guys where I'm from. I want to stay at Notre Dame High School in West Haven, Connecticut. I love that. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I think in this NIL portal world where everybody's always on the move, and he wants to stay with his buddies from high school, see it through. And I think that's super cool. So he is playing in Connecticut, 6'6", super athletic. Listen, I think he's a player that I think, frankly, he's just underrated. You know, he played in some of the U19, you know, the international stuff for his home country. And I only bring it up, well, it's his parents' home country, but you get the point. And I thought he was really good there. I thought he was really good on the Adidas circuit. Like I said, about 6'6", crazy athletic, plays super hard, both ends of the floor. You know, he's not a finished product. Nobody is at the high school level, by the way. Tyron Stokes, AJ DeBonsa last year, Cam Boozer, nobody's a finished product. But I think he's a little bit underrated because here's the thing. I think there are guys that are productive at the high school level or whatever, but I don't know that they have the upside of this kid. And I'll take it even a step further. I think I've mentioned this on air. You know, I don't think it was ever seriously in the cards, but like, I think Coach Cal believes that this kid is better than people realize. And I think that let me put it this way. I know for a fact that Coach Cal does not think that this kid is the 35th best prospect in the country. And I would add this too. I don't think he recruits him this way. If he does, I think he really likes this kid. I think this kid, again, we don't know what the roster is going to look like. We'll discuss that in a minute. But this kid's going to come to Arkansas. He's going to play immediately. He's going to have an impact immediately. I think he's actually the perfect kind of Coach Cal wing. Now, what's interesting really quickly is the recruitment itself. So I mentioned UConn. I don't know that they were ever really in the mix, especially late. The team that was, though, was Providence. Providence has been there from the beginning. For people who don't know the geography, Providence, Rhode Island to West Haven is probably about an hour drive, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. But they really pushed. Stay home, be the guy. Remember, it's funny. I'm at an NIL conference right now. These Big East schools that don't have football, they still have the same $20.5 million salary cap that these other schools do. Now, they don't have the revenue that that the SEC and Big Ten schools do, or even the ACC or the Big 12. But the counter to that is they don't have to pay football players. And so I think a lot of these Big East schools, I was talking to people throughout the day who said the Big East, the A10, they can do things NIL-wise that others can't. I don't know the exact details. I'm sure somebody is reporting it somewhere. What I know is that Providence basically said, we think you're going to be a dude. Come here right away. You can have an immediate impact. You can play right away. You can be close to home. And oh, by the way, we're going to take care of you very well financially. Doesn't really matter, though, because Arkansas, John Calipari, and to me, this is just the quintessential Coach Cal move. Listen, what we all remember the old video of Coach Cal. Remember, he said something to the effect of, we're going to come into your place and we're going to be your biggest game and we're still going to kick your butt and it doesn't really matter. It's the same in recruiting. He's going to come in. He's going to get who he wants. He's going to close the deal. He's going to get the guys that he wants. And this is, how do I say this? I don't think it's like his greatest recruiting win ever. But I mean, listen, the crystal balls were coming in for Providence as recently as like 72 hours ago. As recently as 72 hours ago, it was, not confirmed isn't the right word, but it was acknowledged in the Arkansas media that, hey, this guy might not be ours. And here we are Friday afternoon, and he is officially a Razorback. So a great comeback recruitment from John Calipari. I'm sure the stories are going to start to come out. As I said, I've been traveling, so I haven't had a chance to see all the details of how it all came together. But what a win for Coach Cal. By the way, Coach Cal always won for flair. He's obviously doing it just hours before their tip-off event, the primetime at the Palace event that I know Arkansas fans are so excited about. And man, oh man, what a win. Lastly, what I'll say is this. I think there's a very realistic chance that this is the second big piece in what could eventually be the number one recruiting class in the country. Okay, it's early. Most of the best players still haven't committed, but a couple of things with Arkansas. One, they already have another player who I think is one of the most underrated players in all of high school basketball, J.J. Andrews, committed. We talked about J.J. Andrews over the summer, Peach Jam MVP. Listen, he moved up in every single player ranking of note. I still think he's a little bit underrated. Like right now, I'm just looking, he's ranked number 11 by 24/7 Sports. I'd like to be the 11th best person in America at anything, but I solely bring it up because I'll be real. I think he's actually a little bit underrated at number 11. Just won Peach Jam MVP. And again, I know for a fact that Coach Cal kind of sees him as a one and done. This dude is going to be an X factor and a difference maker type dude on this roster. And so you have J.J. Andrews. I think the big question is who's next and who can you get? Thought it was interesting. Our Tours on the Hogs sent this to me. Abdou Toure committed via Instagram live stream. You know who was in the IG live stream with him? Erfan Dion. Number one center in America, top 15 prospect. He's been to Arkansas. He's been to Houston, Virginia, Kentucky, and somebody else. This has seemed like a Houston versus Arkansas battle. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to get yelled at if it doesn't happen. But I still think it's a Houston versus Arkansas battle. I think Arkansas, I don't want to say they should feel great, but I think they have surpassed a lot of other teams along the process, and we'll just see now if they can close. But you have two elite wings. I think both of them are NBA players. I don't think John Calipari recruits these guys, especially as freshmen, if he doesn't believe that they're NBA-type talents. So you have those two. You may get Erfan Dion. By the way, Jordan Smith Jr., we'll see. He's going to Duke here in the next couple weeks. I want to say maybe even next weekend. I could be mistaken on that. It looks like early November. Excuse me. I think he's actually going to Kentucky next weekend. I apologize. But I think Jordan Smith Jr. is a guy that could very easily end up at Arkansas and be one of the lead guards in this class. So Coach Cal is, listen, high school recruiting has changed, but I don't believe this premise that you can't win with freshmen if the freshmen are good enough. Look at Duke last year. Look at Alabama a few years ago with Brandon Miller, Jaden Bradley, Noah Clowney, I want to say was the other kid's name who ended up being a first-round pick. You can win with freshmen. The freshmen just have to be good enough. So I'm not saying that's going to be the roster. By the way, we don't know what's going to happen with this year's Arkansas roster, who's going to come back, who's not. You know, DJ Wagner in theory could do a fourth year. Maybe a Malik Thomas isn't a one and done. You know, Billy Richmond's probably back. But what I will say is you add these two to the mix, man, oh man, oh man. It is it's a great time to be a Razorback basketball fan. Now, football will figure out what's going on with Bobby Petrino, but it's a great time to be a basketball fan. I think this is a big get. Maybe it's my Connecticut bias. By the way, Arkansas fans, I was texting somebody, it kind of hurts. I'm only the second most prominent Connecticut guy in the Arkansas community right now. It's tough going, but I will secede that spot to Abdou Toure. I am so excited to watch him as a Razorback. I think he's going to be awesome. I think he's a future pro. I am so proud of him being from my home state of Connecticut. About 3.5 million people. Don't know if you know this. We don't produce a lot of Division I high-end basketball players, but he is certainly one. So I'm fascinated to see not only his recruitment come to an end, but more importantly, who joins him in this 2026 Razorbacks recruiting class. And then, oh, by the way, who will join him on that 2026-2027 roster, because one thing you know about Coach Cal, he is going to he's going to put together a championship caliber roster. All right, if you enjoyed this video, do me a quick favor. Make sure to subscribe. Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. New clips, new videos. Time I think I've ever worn a suit on YouTube, by the way. Also, Big Pig Invasion. It's coming. It's here. The invasion has happened. Big Pig, Arkansas is invading those recruiting rankings right now. You can get your t-shirt, AaronTorresOnline.com/merchandise.